So the Chicago Bulls are trying to trade Lonzo Ball. And you might be thinking like, wait, what? Trade Lonzo Ball? Is he still playing? Oh yeah, Lonzo Ball is just back playing. He just healed from the knee injury and then he injured his wrist. And now he's kind of like, he's got it back. He's kind of back playing. He's played a few games, averaging like 5-2. He's looking like he's a NBA player. Like, that's it. Like, he's not looking like a good NBA player. He's looking like an NBA player. And considering the fact that, again, Lonzo Ball's back playing basketball, that's just impressive. Like, he's 27 years old now. His knees barely work. And look, like it is what it is. It's going to be very, very tough for him to continue to play ball at a high level. And to be fair to him, even getting back to the NBA level is impressive. But now the Chicago Bulls, even after all of that time, are immediately, as soon as he's healthy to play a couple of games, trying to trade him. Before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 6.3k by the end of the day, and right now we are 53 subscribers off. But with Lonzo Ball, this is just such a... To be fair, I don't know if he wants to necessarily be in Chicago, but this is such a bad one because with Lonzo, it's like every single time Lonzo was about to become one of the better point guards in the NBA, something happened. Like, he has one of the best 5-game stretch of his career, where he's probably been the best point guard in the NBA over that 5-game stretch. The pandemic happens. And then he starts off the 2022 season with the Bulls as the number 1 seed, and Lonzo Ball being that, like, looking like he's going to pretty much be thereabouts being an all-star, and if not an all-star this year, going to be an all-star in the future. And look, he's doing that at 24 years old. And then it's all basically taken away from him. He doesn't play for pretty much 3 years, and now as soon as it happens, the Bulls are trying to trade him. At the same time, the Bulls are trying to trade everybody. They are trying to trade everyone. So you can see here, this is from Jake Fisher on the Stein line. All eyes on Windy City in the shopping season. We walked to lunch in 2019 when the Bulls executive president ranked 2nd in command in Nuggets operation. He shuttled West Denver to learn more about the blossoming career of Jokic. I don't know what relevance this has, but obviously I'm not a paid subscriber, so let's get the general gist of it from the Reddit post. So it says here, the Chicago Bulls are expected to make nearly their entire roster open for trade in an attempt to shed salary and improve their draft position. League figures have openly questioned why the Bulls front office has been rather inactive to this point since their major acquisitions in 2021. I think they hoped Lonzo was going to be healthy. They had that, like, 40-game stretch in the 2021-2022 season where they were the best team in the East. They obviously got rid of DeRozan, and it says success for that quartet of players will likely be judged on what I'm not entirely sure what that was meant to say. After signing and trading DeMar DeRozan to Sacramento, can generate a trademark for veterans who remain in Chicago, such as a vicious cycle of NBA team building. The reality is that they're 8-12. They're not great. And they're trying to get off Levine, Vucevic, and Lonzo Ball. And I think you can get something. You can genuinely get something, like, for Lonzo, because Lonzo's on expiring. To be fair, you can get money for anyone on expiring. But you're going to just basically... I think Lonzo's going to have to be like a throw-in in a trade, maybe. But the problem is that, like, you don't want to give someone an expiring contract and take on a bad contract necessarily. Maybe you do. Maybe you help out another team and get for future draft capital. Like, get a team out of the second apron. Is there any scenario where... Is Vucevic... Is he on an expiring? Like, Vucevic's on a pretty good deal, to be fair. Like, he's on $20 million a year for someone who's averaging 20 points a game. So, he is on a pretty good deal. And then Lonzo is on expiring. So, it's like, what do you do? Genuinely, what do you do if you're the Bulls? Do you go and look for a contender to try get out of the second apron? You look at, say, a Milwaukee, maybe. And you try to give them... I think, if I'm not mistaken, like, what's Brook Lopez's salary? I know Brook Lopez is important on defense. Maybe you can try to find a way to get, like, a Brook Lopez and for Vucevic and Lonzo and some other way to kind of mess with the salary to get them out of the second apron for next year when Lonzo's contract expires. But I don't really know how you go about doing that. I don't really know what you can get for them. Like, Vucevic has some value because he's on a decent deal. Zach LaVine does not have value because we know whether Zach LaVine is on the court or not does not affect whether your team wins or not. And Lonzo is literally just 20 million, is a 20 million year player who averages 5 points a game and is going to genuinely, is there a worse player on that money other than Ben Simmons who's on more money? Like, I genuinely don't know. I don't know if there's a worse contract, but it's expiring, so it's not that bad. But I'm trying to even think of hypotheticals for Lonzo. Like, he is a minimum he's playing like a minimum contract level player, or even if it's not minimum, like best mid-level exception level player, and he's making 20 something million a year. So I'm just even thinking, is there any team that could use Lonzo Ball that, like, if you're Chicago, maybe you take on more salary to get rid of Lonzo? If you can afford that, maybe? And I know they're trying to get rid of salary, but then Lonzo's on expiring, so if you're trying to get rid of salary by trading him, I genuinely don't know how you can do that. I think the only way of getting any asset for Lonzo Ball is if you take on a bad contract. So I don't even know what they're trying to do. Like, obviously they're putting him up for trade. I don't see how you can trade Lonzo. I genuinely don't. I don't see a way of making the money work. And you can also, I don't see how you can save money on Lonzo Ball and still get an asset. Like, he's one of those type of guys you would sometimes have to give up. Unless you can get somebody that's making 12 million a year that's a legitimate scrub for the next 2 years. I have no idea. I've actually no idea. And again, if they were going to trade LaVine, they would have already gotten off him at this stage. You're going to get nothing for LaVine. And the only player, again, that's worth anything is Vucevic, because even though he's old, he's still only making $20 million next year, which for a center of his caliber is actually not a lot. It's really not a lot. Like, for a not all-star level player, but like a good center. So anyway, yeah, that is the video. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. And yeah, it's an odd scenario. And look, I do feel bad for Lonzo. I really do hope he has a longer NBA career. But like, his next contract is going to be a minimum. And if he wants to bet on himself, sign a freaking 1 year minimum and then prove you can play. But right now, until he shows that he can consistently play, which again, through no fault of his own, but a fact is a fact, he is, as of right now, a minimum contract level player.